Hi, this is Stevie. I've been practicing this loose watercolor painting technique this past week, and I wanted to share with you one of the paintings that I did. I will warn you that this is a messy process. This is my palette, and you can see that I've been using it quite a bit. I just stuck with the same three colors to do these paintings just because I had to squeeze out fresh paint. So that is Winsor Blue, Quinacridone Burnt Orange, and the yellow is nickel azo yellow because that's a transparent color. I never did use the orange that I squeezed out. I just kept it to three colors. So the only drawing I did for this painting was the mountaintops. And that was just to make sure that I knew where I was going once I got started, because the process does move pretty quickly. So I'm just outlining the shapes. I changed the shape of that larger mountain a little bit, and just trying to create some distance there with different mountain ranges. So that's really all the drawing I did, and it's all I need. And the first thing I'm going to do is wet the sky, and I'm using my silver brush, cat's tongue brush. It's a good mop brush. It holds a lot of water because you do need a lot of water for this process. And I was carefully painting the area with water where I'm going to have the sky, going around the mountains. Now I'll start applying some of the blue color to the sky using a soft brush. That's my Princeton Neptune brush. I think it's a size 12. So I'm just randomly getting some color, some of the Winsor Blue color in there. And I'm tilting that paper to just let the color flow down, just to create an interesting sky. And since I've applied the color pretty randomly, I'll have some cloud-looking shapes in the sky as well. I didn't spend a lot of time on that since this was practice. I did get some dark marks in the sky that I don't like, but I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to have to fiddle with that. I could end up creating a bloom. Now I just dried my surface with my heat gun, and I came back and I just spritzed the area around the tops of the mountains a little bit to soften that color as I apply it on the mountains, so that it'll help to push them back into the distance. I don't know if this was the best thing to do because I did have to control the bleeding. I might not do that again. I think I'd maybe go back later and soften them in future paintings. Now I'm using my Princeton Heritage number 10 brush. That's a synthetic bristle brush to apply that color to the mountain. And I'm kind of skipping around. I was going back and forth between the blue and the Quinacridone burnt orange colors. I didn't blend them together directly because that tends to turn green. And then I'm trying to leave some white spaces to indicate a little bit of snow on the mountains. I also need to be thinking about the bottom of the mountain so that I don't end up with a hard line where I stopped the color. So I'm going back there with just some water on my brush to soften that out, just let it blend out. And I will do each mountain the same way, although I will use thinner paint for the more distant mountains to give it a sense of distance. So there on one of the distant mountains, I started out with the blue. I added a lot more water to the paint to do that. And just continue to blend it out the same way I did the first mountain. And notice I'm not being very careful about that. I like how it looks when I don't blend those two colors together. I just place them side by side. The Quinacridone burnt orange is very luminous, and I like how that looks up next to the blue. Just cleaning up a bit there where I went above the pencil line I had for the mountain. Now on to the next one. This mountain is a little closer than the distant one, so I'll make this one a little bit darker. Using the same process, same colors, the Winsor Blue and the Quinacridone burnt orange. I'm working on 300-pound paper. It's Fabriano paper, and the size of this painting is about 7 by 10 inches, just to give you a sense of the scale of it. And there I'm just blending out the bottom of that mountain to avoid hard edges. Again, to push it back in the distance. cleaning things up a bit, trying to control that water. That's something I learned with 300-pound paper, is you need a paper towel handy to control the flow of the water. And on the right side, with those other two mountain ranges, they're more in the distance, and I just wet both of them at one time, and I'm applying more diluted paint to those ranges, quickly getting them in, just trying to push those back into the distance with the diluted color. I did try to leave some white spaces to indicate snow on those mountains as well. And one thing I want to mention about painting mountains, I've taught landscape painting classes for over 20 years, and the most common thing that I see with mountains is that students tend to make them all look like pyramids. And when you do that, check your drawing to make sure that you put little bumps in the sides of the mountains. You probably noticed that when I did the drawing, just so that you don't have a bunch of pyramid shapes when you're finished. Now I'm moving on. I've got the mountains done. I'm moving on and applying water to the rest of the surface randomly. Some parts are dry and some are wet. And now I've picked up more color, the blue color, and I think I picked up a little of the Quin burnt orange as well, because it looks green to me. But I see how quickly I'm applying that color, being careful to leave some white space between the bottom of the mountains and the start of this next layer. And that just helps to give more interest to the painting. And I'm going quickly here, but what I'm doing is once I apply that color, I'm cleaning my brush, and notice how I apply just water from my brush to the tops of those shapes. That helps them to bleed up the paper, especially on 300-pound paper. They will bleed really well. And as that dries, you'll see that it gives the illusion of bushes or trees without you even having to do any work to it. And that's the nice thing about this kind of painting, is that you do a little bit and then you leave it alone. You don't go in and keep fiddling with it. I've done a lot of that, and I can guarantee that will ruin the painting in a hurry. Now I picked up my little palette knife for the very foreground of the painting so that I could pick up thicker paint. And I picked it right up off that messy palette that I showed in the beginning. Picking up some of the Quin burnt orange, some of the Winsor Blue, and then some of the Nicolezo yellow, and just quickly applying it. This is sped up to double time, but even if you slow it down, you can see how quickly I apply it with the palette knife. Because you don't want to be thinking this through too much. You want it to be an intuitive kind of painting. And now once I have done that, once I've gotten the paint down, then I can take my clean brush with just water on it. And this is a brush that holds more water. It's a Princeton Neptune brush. And I really like those for when you want a lot of water on your brush. So I just quickly went over the tops of those shapes to pull up some bushes or grasses. Now I used clean water to pull down below those shapes to just indicate some ground beneath them. And I wanted this to look more like a vignette, so I was trying to push that color over toward the middle. But I will warn you, this can get away from you in a hurry. So you want to practice this on some scratch paper first before you try it on a good painting. There I'm using just a piece of cut up 300-pound paper to just push up some of those bushy shapes that you see, and doing a little bit of that with my brush as well, but really very little brush work in this painting. And now that it's drying up, you can see what nice shapes. Look at the white shapes that were created with the wet paint as it bled up into the other layers. And more in the background, you see some green tree-looking shapes there. So it's just a really attractive way of painting, and lots of fun too. So this is pretty much it. I think that's my last step. I was just cleaning up a bloom there, and there you have it. And it really didn't take me very long to paint that painting. Here I'm spritzing some more of that color down, and have a paper towel or another towel handy to catch that water, because it does go everywhere. And that's my last step, I think. I think that's the end of it. But look how nice those white highlights look. The dark values against the white really looks nice. I have just a few more small things to do to finish up this painting. I'm going to darken that area that looks like trees on the right side there, about in the midsection of the painting. And then I still want to go back and soften those mountaintops too to help push them back a little bit. So I'm taking my 1/4" Princeton flat brush, that's a synthetic brush. I just use a damp brush. I put it in water and then wipe it off with a paper towel and then run it along the tops of those mountains. And just by softening that edge helps to push them back a little bit into the distance. Now I'm doing a little more spritzing. I will caution you about this. I've learned the hard way. Don't do a lot of spritzing in the front. If you do it once, do it and leave it alone, because I ruined one of my paintings by doing it too many times. This looks okay, but it wasn't this painting that I ruined. Here I'm adding a little more color to those trees because I thought they looked really nice on the right-hand side. Adding a little more of the yellow, and then I need to get some dark at the bottom of those trees to help bring them out and make them sit down in the painting. Just kind of integrating them into the rest of the painting there. And I think that's about it. So there's my painting. I hope you enjoyed this, and please leave a comment or a question if you have it. And thanks so much for watching.